On October 27th, 2022, Elon Musk took control of Twitter after buying it for $44 billion. He had a vision for an everything app, a digital town square for free speech and connection. Over the next 72 hours, changes came fast. He fired the executive team, dug into the algorithm, crowdsourced ideas, demanded hardcore work, and planned massive layoffs. It's now been 2 years since Elon took over Twitter, and the platform has changed a lot. Just take a look at this revenue chart. Since that day, Twitter's revenue has fallen by over 77%. So I have one big question. Has Elon Musk actually made Twitter better or worse? Now, obviously this leaves me with one big problem. How on earth am I supposed to decide if Twitter is better now? So here's the plan. We're gonna take a look at 4 big moments that shaped Twitter into what it is today. And some of these were actually leaked from inside Twitter, so things are gonna get spicy. Then we'll compare to see how it stacks up to before. And believe it or not, I don't actually think that the future of Twitter is as bad as everyone says. Also, yeah, I know you're down in the comments saying, yo, it's called X now, but guess what? I'm gonna call it Twitter. What are you gonna do about it? Elon Musk is complicated, but he's always been clear about his stance on free speech. He believes that everyone should have an equal right to speak and be heard. And Elon talked a lot about Twitter's bias for the left, even though their data showed the exact opposite. So when Elon decided to buy Twitter, he made some promises to fix that. He would fight to protect free speech, even letting his critics have a voice on Twitter. And he wouldn't make it personal either. The account that tracked his jet could stay no matter how much danger it caused him. To do this, on day 1, Elon wanted to get rid of all moderation on Twitter. Now, the team pushed back. Dangerous content needed filtering. So Elon agreed to some moderation. But when you give people an inch, they're going to take a mile. His change was tested right away when people started spamming hateful and racist content. And the worst part is, it got views. So advertisers started to pause their deals, which left Elon with a choice: free speech or revenue. But instead of just going back to the old policies, Elon tightened moderation even more than before, banning all content with slurs, hateful comments, personal attacks, even trying to get those users permanently banned, and shifting his policy from freedom of speech to freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. Now, I can't say this is a bad thing, but it was a break from his original stance. He promised to give everyone a voice, and then quickly went back on his word. Then, the account tracking his jet was mysteriously banned. His critics, most of them being left-leaning journalists, were removed, and accounts that had been banned for their speech, like Donald Trump and Jordan Peterson, got reinstated. 2 years later, Elon's promise of an unbiased Twitter, with full free speech and no content moderation, just hasn't come true. In the first half of 2023 alone, over 5.3 million accounts were suspended, up 300% from the year before. And Twitter's content bias is still alive and well. Right-leaning content takes priority, and a lot of that has to do with the audience on Twitter, but it's still biased. But it's hard to get rid of bias. That's kind of controlled by the users, and in this case, there's hundreds of millions of them. What isn't that hard to get rid of, though, is misinformation. One day after taking control, Elon wanted to make his stance on moderation crystal clear. So, he announced the Content Moderation Council. This would be a group of people with diverse views who would decide the content policies on Twitter. And on top of that, he announced that he would get rid of lifetime bans from Twitter altogether to allow him to find that fine balance between free speech and moderation. There's just a small problem. Not a single one of those promises came true. I'm starting to sense a pattern here. But he did follow through on his promise to axe the content moderation team that existed on the old Twitter, laying off thousands of employees who prevented misinformation, harmful content, and hate speech, which left him at risk of a free-for-all. So he introduced a new program. I want to explain how Elon prevents misinformation now. Bear with me here. Instead of having a dedicated team, Elon relies on community notes. You've probably seen one of these attached to a tweet. Maybe it was even one of Elon's tweets. Basically, when something seems off with a tweet, users can propose a community note. At this point, the proposed note will be shared with other moderators, of which there's 133,000. And when enough people with diverse viewpoints agree, the community note gets attached to the tweet. At face value, I've been seeing a lot more of these in the last year. And personally, I believe that this system is probably effective. But let's look at the data. Over 100,000 community notes were added to tweets in the last year, and they are very effective. According to Twitter, users retweeted and engaged significantly less on tweets with community notes, preventing misinformation from spreading to other people. But there is a hole in the community notes program. It rarely works on any political posts. If someone posts misinformation, whether it's left-wing or right-wing, both sides need to agree on the note. So while the community notes feature is super effective for things like pop culture, it rarely helps to stop political misinformation, which is obviously a bit of a problem. This is the information that helps voters decide who they're going to vote for. And right now, Twitter is just not delivering to help make that info clear. Even with all of these problems, I think it's important that we look at how people are feeling. Because if the platform's growing, it doesn't matter if it's falling apart. It's still succeeding. So I decided to take a look at the data, but I didn't realize how hard it would be to find. Elon hasn't released user data since he took over, meaning that we're going off of estimates. The bottom line, Twitter is losing users, anywhere from 10 to 30% in the last 2 years, which adds up to 30 to 90 million people. But why are they leaving? Let's circle back to Elon's promises. Remember how he said that he wanted Twitter to be a digital town square for people to share? He also paired that up with a guarantee to remove bots from the platform, and even offer up a way that creators could make money through their posts. And here's what you're probably not expecting. Elon did act on his word for these things. When he took over, around 11% of the users on Twitter were bots. He implemented bot purges, banned IPs from repeat offenders, and tested programs to paywall basic features on new accounts, on top of adding new security features to help protect other users. There are bots on Twitter, especially around big moments like the Super Bowl and the presidential debates. But Elon is putting in work to solve this problem, and personally, I've seen a huge improvement. So how about monetization? Well, in his first days, Elon introduced a program called Twitter Blue. By paying $8, users could unlock verification, increase their reach, and add features that'll help to improve their experience. Not to mention that they could earn from their tweets if they got enough reach. In the beginning, this went very well. The big Twitter accounts were making a ton of money from their posts. Like when Mr. Beast posted his first video on X, it earned $250,000. Crazy. But this past year, Twitter shifted how their creators make money. Instead of basing their revenue on ad views, they're basing it on engagements, meaning that the highest earning posts are engagement bait. Posts designed to get you riled up and responding. Pair that up with the lack of follow through on the things we talked about earlier, and you've got a problem. So, when new options started to pop up, they grew fast. Mastodon was first, bringing in over 1 million users from Twitter after Elon took over. Then there was Threads, which reached 100 million active users in just the first week. And since the election, Blue Sky's been growing fast too, reaching 20 million users. Personally, I've only tried Threads, and it was okay, I guess. But here's the thing, none of these platforms have lasted. Even if people aren't fans of the change, Twitter still has the charm that keeps people around. So this isn't a lost cause for Twitter just yet. But what might be is their finances. Inside reports are showing that money might be a big problem for Twitter. So let's find out. Back in September, a bombshell report was published in the Washington Post. In that report, a company that owns a tiny stake in Elon Musk's Twitter shared what their portion was worth. And because Twitter isn't public anymore, this is the best picture we can get on their total valuation. According to them, their stake has lost 72% of its value, meaning Twitter overall is now worth less than $10 billion. Wait, what? That's a huge hit. What happened? Back when Elon took over, around 70 to 75% of the company's revenue came from ads. Even with that, they were still losing hundreds of millions of dollars every year. So Elon came up with the plan to make Twitter profitable. He would add paid memberships, increase the amount of ads being sold, and lay off 80% of the team. We already know that he did all of that. With Twitter Blue alone, he was able to add about an extra $100 million in revenue in 2023. And according to Elon, these layoffs saved about $400 million per year. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. The problems came from advertising, which is Twitter's biggest source of revenue. Last year, Elon Musk tweeted some anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, leading some major companies to start questioning Twitter and halting their ads. So Elon did the logical thing, doubled down and told the advertisers to go fuck themselves, claiming that they were trying to blackmail him, which led even more advertisers to leave. So Elon tripled down, suing the advertisers for their boycott and claiming he's going to go to war with them, which led even more advertisers to back out. Suddenly, ad dollars were in danger. Elon Musk was attacking the biggest source of revenue in the entire company. And truthfully, this is what hurt the valuation so much. How can you put your money into a company like this? We haven't exactly painted the best picture of Twitter so far. Most of Elon's promises never came true. Users are leaving, and the company is burning through money like crazy. So what does the future of Twitter actually look like? Right now, Twitter is in a risky place. They're losing money, probably even more than before Elon, and people are starting to leave the platform. But I'm still not convinced that the future of Twitter is as dark as people are saying. I don't think that Twitter's gonna go bust and Mastodon or Blue Sky's gonna take over. They just don't have the same pull. Twitter's been experimenting for 2 years, figuring out what works and what doesn't work. A lot of what doesn't work, actually. But with this data, they can create a strategy that helps them succeed. But first, they need to bring in new users and new advertisers. And divisive content just isn't gonna do that. So right now is a huge decision point for Elon Musk. Either he follows his word and sticks to his strategy to grow the platform, or he'll watch Twitter slowly lose revenue until they can't stay afloat. That's the big risk to the future of Twitter. When Elon Musk took over, it changed social media forever. And what I think we can all learn is that balancing social platforms has never been harder. Hundreds of millions of people on one platform are going to have very different opinions. I'm not gonna say I love Twitter the way it is right now. I've seen a lot of really shady and messed up content that I am not a fan of. But I'm still interested to see what happens, and I'm optimistic for the future. And hey, maybe that's a mistake, but it's how I feel. Once you're done that, be sure to subscribe for more videos. I've got a few good ones coming up, and I don't think you're gonna wanna miss them. After that, check out this video I made right here about a streamer who's walking away from millions. It's a fun video. Might as well check it out. Check it out.